Super fighting robot, Megaman. Super fighting robot, Megaman. I love the Mega Man series. It's well designed, it's super fun, and it's got responsive gameplay and a colourful world with some of the best music ever made. Of course, I looked forward to the newest game in the series since, Mega Man 10. That was 8 years ago. Damn, that's a long time ago. Mega Man 11 is the 11th game in the series, not including the X series, the ZX series. I'm pretty sure there's a fucking one where you have to beat the Robot Masters with football. It's got your standard gameplay that you always want. Mega Man has to defeat Dr. Wily and his 8 Robot Masters of varying elements and colours and themes, and you acquire their weapons and you fight to beat different challenges, and you eventually go beat Dr. Wily. It's got one-for-one gameplay from the other games, which they shouldn't change. Great. And it's another Mega Man game, and I'm gonna talk about it because I have nothing better to do. This is your standard Mega Man game. You run, you jump, you shoot, you charge, you slide, you die, just like every other Mega Man game. If it ain't broke, you don't fix it. There are some key differences to the old classics, to the renaissance of Mega Man 9, and, well, these changes are quite interesting to say the least, and I'm glad that they're trying new things, but, well, as I always say, when you throw enough shit at the wall, some of it sticks, and the rest leaves you with a wall covered in shit. First of all, I want to talk about the level design. The Mega Man series always prides themselves on having fantastic level design. You introduce the mechanics in a clear way, and make the levels challenging but fair in a thematically fitting way, and above all else, fun. Mega Man 11 decides to lengthen each stage a bit. Now, since this is a new game with a new engine, new graphics, and it's on a new consoles and everything, they're trying to up it in every way, and I understand that. However, there is a big problem with this, and I think it comes down to the relic of the past, the live system. Why, in current year argument, is the live system still being used? Christ, Super Mario Odyssey did the correct thing and got rid of them, and that's fucking Mario. Lives have been a part of the Mario series since fucking 1983, I think was when Donkey Kong came out. They got rid of the live system because they know it's archaic and it doesn't suit today's gameplay style. Well, since Dark Souls revolutionised the way we think about dying and experience and lives, a lot of games have moved away from that. And I think that's, it's a good thing. Death is meant to be a sort of small punishment for those not being skilled enough at the game. Short and sweet enough to make you regret what you did, but then straight back in to overcome the obstacle. Dark Souls' system encouraged care and patience. To not rush in and get your ass handed to you, and then lose all of your souls. Mario's all about getting straight back into the fun and enjoying the game, exploring more, and hell, lose a couple of coins when you die. It's no big deal. The fun is beating the game and finding the next new thing. I understand that lives are left over from, a bygone era, but when losing all of your lives doesn't affect the game or your progress in any meaningful way, it just sends you back to the beginning of the stage which you've replayed multiple times. It feels frustrating and not encouraging. You start with 3 lives. There will often be insta-kill spikes or pitfalls that are in the way before the next checkpoint, so you feel like you're always sort of losing progress when you game over and go back to the start of the stage. I feel personally it would be far more rewarding to just have you lose a load of screws like in Shovel Knight, where you lose some of your loot and then you can go back to the same point and collect it where you died. It doesn't feel like you've lost progress in the game. You don't feel like you're replaying stuff you've seen before. It's a simple fix, and the screws, they're not that important of a currency. They add for upgrades and stuff, but hell, screws they drop from enemies and everything. It doesn't matter that much. I spent most of my screws on the lives. So, you're not really losing anything. The screws are the currency, and it's kind of neat that there are loads of permanent power upgrade. Just like Mega Man 9, except there's a lot more different permanent little buffs that all give you a small little improvement to your quality of life while you're playing it. Some don't feel very noticeable at first, except for the auto buster charger. Fuck yeah! They all keep you focused on the fun of the gameplay, and it feels nice and rewarding. It's small, but it does make a difference, and I love it. Except for when I'm spending all my fucking screws on lives. Okay, now I just want to talk about the Robot Masters for a little bit. I mean, I know since the original games, they're just robots that fit a unique theme that the stage can be based around, like Flame Man, Ice Man, fucking Pharaoh Man. But seriously, these robots are made with artificial intelligence, and it's just bizarre as to why they would create robots with the ability to think for themselves and have free self-expression. I mean, Bounce Man? Bounce Man's a fucking crash test dummy who works at a fucking air hop, and on his down low, he does a fucking Mr. Motivator spiel. Like, you have Acid Man. He's made for chemical sciences and mixing accurately measurements of corrosive substances and swimming through big vats of acid. I understand the logic of having a free-thinking robot in that position. He's a scientist without a human body, so he can deal with areas and environments that humans cannot. But motherfucking Torchman. Let's talk about Torchman. Jesus Christ. A campfire marshal to teach kids to be safe with fire? What are we going to get next in this dystopia that Dr. Light has made, where only the rich and those with the skills to program or think scientifically can work, taking away all manual labour and everything that doesn't involve higher thought? Where's Accountant Man? Bin Man? Fucking stopping the riots of the impoverished masses? Man? But whatever, their designs aren't all that memorable. There's the ice skating dude. Surprised we haven't seen that yet, if I'm honest. Big bounce bitch who looks like Gato from Chrono Trigger. Bakugo from My Hero Academia. They all have voice lines now, which, I mean, I'm fine with. It gives them actual personalities. Even if we do get such gems as...
Let the combat commence! Prepare yourself to feel the heat! Torch Jutsu!
Recover all the energy immediately, Megaman.
This game introduces the double gear system, a device that Dr. Willy used in his university days before being shut down by Dr. Light, and then his research disgraced due to the strain it would place upon the robots. Before awaking from a dream and realising, why didn't I just do my research that I did? I'm assuming more than 30 or 40 years ago. I am an evil man after all. Then Dr. Light goes, I'm just gonna, put the double gear system that Wily made into you, Mega Man, because apparently I stole his prototype. Because, I guess, gameplay, sure, whatever, who cares. The double gear system is something, when I first saw the game and thought, whatever, I don't care. It's a new gameplay mechanic, but, I think the gameplay of Mega Man is brilliant as it is, and it kind of feels like an option for more casual players who find some of the platforming and the boss fights difficult. So I sort of was a bit dismissive of it, but in actual fact I quite liked it. The abilities drain so quickly you can't spam it over and over again and make the game easier. There are specific areas and enemies designed so that it would be much more efficient to use the different modes of the double gear system, and there are areas where they have timer cooldown pickups that would encourage you to use them, because honestly some of those areas are very, very difficult to get through and clearly encouraging you to use the gameplay, which is fine. I like that. The Robot Masters have two forms in their fight now, which is a welcome change. Along with their normal weaknesses to certain weapons, they halfway through they power up with either speed or power, and they change their patterns and become different, and it's great. I love it. It encourages you to use the gear system often. So kudos designers, you made it thematically and mechanically work well. I'm very impressed. I can't find any of these stages too interesting. I mean, you've got like Tundra Man has the wind element from fucking every Mega Man game, especially like Tornado Man, I believe. You have the enemies that when you kill it makes the stage entirely dark, like in Mega Man 3. You have the underwater segments with the spikes that you have to do some precise platforming with, like in Bubble Man's stage. It really feels like, while the stages are longer, with little mini-bosses in between each of them, fine, that's a little welcome break. They're certainly more frustrating because of the length, and the fact that, once you die, you go back to the start of these stages, and if you did that in Mega Man 2, well, the stages weren't that long, so you could just, do it in a couple of minutes, and, straight back in, whereas it feels like a relatively tiresome task, especially considering I'm not being challenged in any new way. I feel like I've played all these stages before, but haven't, and that's not a good thing. I mean, let's take Bounce Man's stage, for instance. This stage was fucking awful. It was the first stage I chose, and it had bouncing balls as its mechanic. and I spent most of the time trying to navigate the easiest little bouncing segments. There was no threat to me in any way, it just frustrated me because of its poor implementation of the gimmick. Like, in these stages it's just long platforming segments with mechanics we've seen before and a couple of enemies sprinkled in from previous Mega Man games and a mini boss, and then it's no Mega Man 9. It's no Mega Man 9, I'm afraid. The problem with the game is that while it has the silly cutscenes and the standard rigmarole, what it tries to give the game in personality with characters now talking, updated graphic styles and an update in the mechanic system, it loses it with its stale level design and frankly unmemorable music. The levels don't have their own unique mechanics, and I've just seen the gimmicks elsewhere before and there's nothing too memorable about any of it. Which is a real shame because with a few minor tweaks this game could have been really great, especially if it had better music.
In that meteor, we'll find Dr. Wowie.
We have to stop Dr. Wowie. I'll kill that dirty Willy any day.
Super fighting robot, Megaman. Super fighting